Good morning. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, everybody.
Happy day
Welcome
after
inside the
Mother's Day.
huddle.
Hope all the mothers on the call had a beautiful day. We're spoiled. I certainly have a tremendous amount of respect for all the moms out there, especially those that provide for their families like so many do on this call. It is not an easy thing to be a mom, and it is even more difficult when you are a working mom. So I have mad respect for the working moms of the world. So happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day is right. So we have a interesting direction we were thinking of going this morning.
Yeah, we were talking last week, trying to pick up on what it means to be an entrepreneur, to try to break through ceilings. And so many people, so many of us, myself included, we're just guilty of this thing. We want to work within our core competencies. And by that, I mean things that come naturally easy to us. And we tend to put off the things or the struggles or the journeys, the paths we need to go down, and the areas where we need to improve. And those are things sometimes that are foreign or uncomfortable for us. And so we left off, we talked about that last week, and then we left off with really it's about mindset. And the fact of life is we're all changing all the time. I'm not the same guy that started at Compass 4 years ago, nor am I the same guy that started in real estate 33 years ago. And I won't be the same person at the end of this year. So we are all changing and evolving all the time. And that's because our minds shift. Our minds are always changing. We are developing new skills, new habits, hopefully most for the better, few for the worse. But what's important to know is that what makes, I think, for successful entrepreneurs is their ability to control this mindset of what it means to be a victim of circumstance and what it means to have an accountability mindset that is aligned with where it is that they want to go. And so I thought we would kind of talk on some of those key points. You can tell I'm driving this conversation, folks. Well, this was my idea, so don't shoot Sean.
I think it's a very good one, especially the victim and accountability mindsets.
Right.
And we move through these. There's actually I won't go very far down this rabbit hole, but there's a form of therapy that's called the drama triangle. And I think we see it a lot in real estate. It has the victim, it has the persecutor, and it has the rescuer. And we end up being in that role a lot as real estate agents. We think of ourselves as the rescuer,
right,
until something goes wrong, and then we're the victim of a bad agent, victim of the. I don't know that we very often see ourselves as the persecutor, but in truth, in therapy, we move through all three of these positions all the time.
Right.
And we have to recognize that none of them are really healthy. They're hiding us from what you're talking about, Steve, which is knowing who we truly are,
right,
good and bad, the things that aren't going well, how we choose to react to them, how we take accountability for them.
Right.
There's always an opportunity.
Well, the question is, are there victims in the world? And definitely the answer is yes. Right. I mean, we can think of 1,000 things before I finish the sentence of where we've been a victim of circumstance. And so bad things can happen. But what we always control is the way we process information. And it's easier said than done. I mean, it is. Life can be hard. Life is hard. It really is. But the story I'm often reminded of, because it hits close to home for me, is that some of you that know me know that I lost my youngest brother when he was 17. He was playing a sport called lacrosse. We've all heard of that, I think. He collided with another player. He broke his neck, and he was paralyzed from the neck down. And he lived for about a month until he succumbed from his injuries as a complication of his injury. And then, it wasn't but a couple of years later, I don't know exactly when, but when Christopher Reeves, Superman, broke his neck riding a horse, something he loved to do. His passion was horses, and he suffered an injury that paralyzed him from the neck down. And why I bring this up is because life happened to him. Life happens to all of us. But Christopher Reeves was known for his attitude, his positive attitude during this process of understanding what had happened to him. So, an event happens, he falls off a horse, he's given the news, this is your circumstance. Now, he had one or two choices we all can make, right? He could deflect reality and say, well, this isn't to be, this didn't, I'll be fine. I'm Superman after all, and just immediately just deflect or not acknowledge reality. Or what he's famously known for was he actually sought reality. Okay, what's happened here? What are my options? When can I get started on my therapies so that I can have the best life possible? And then once he had all the information, he was famously known for saying, okay, let's get on with it. And never once publicly show that he was a victim. He role modeled what it means to have an accountability mindset. And any of us that have had someone suffer an injury like that knows that their lives are full of fear and is full of doubt. But the mindset for that individual to have the best life possible is to say, what's possible for me? Acknowledge reality, embrace the reality, learn your options, and get after it. And so in real estate, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. How does this show up in real estate every day? And so I'll stop there and let you weigh in on any thoughts you have on that. But that's the story that I'm reminded of that so eloquently role models the difference between a victim mindset and an accountability mindset.
And really appreciate you sharing about your brother. I mean,
Yeah.
that will never be easy to share, I'm sure.
No,
Changes.
no.
You just move forward with life. But like I see it happening right now. We just watched rates shoot up. We saw the Fed go up another half point. We've seen our clients all basically freeze in their tracks. That creates a natural fear in any of us. That would be a normal place to go next. And it isn't that somehow you're going to know the future. We're not going to be somehow Superman and be able to fix everything. But if you gain that mindset that whatever's happening will be the right thing to happen, I'll be able to get through it. I'll find a way to do what I got to do because I don't control outcomes. I only control my effort. It removes most of that fear. I don't know exactly what this is. I don't exactly know how long it's going to last or what's going to happen, but I know it's not going to impact me negatively.
Right.
Because I choose that.
Right. Right. Well, a victim in this business would show up and say, gosh, if the Fed wouldn't have done that, we would have a different government. It's always about blaming others for the circumstance as opposed to saying, okay, what are the options here? The fact is that you and I have been talking about the potential for the business to be disrupted in many different ways. And this is just one of them. I mean, a rate hike. Right. So what do you need to know about how this impacts your customers or the customers you were working with last month, and the customers you'll work with next month? What can you do to get a better handle on how this is affecting the economy or the real estate business, so that you can show up and be a source of incredible information that puts people at ease when they know they're dealing with a high-minded thinking consultant who's got the football. Right? Not just react. Well, what are rates going to do tomorrow? How's that impacting? If you're not prepared for hard conversations, it's easy to fall into like a victim. You'll join forces with them. This is where, and then you try to become the hero later, like you were talking about earlier.
Right. We become the rescuer.
The rescuer, yeah.
And almost inevitably, the rescuer gets disappointed, if not angry, with the victim, because nothing ever is really changing. The victim, if you have a victim mindset, you're not changing. And if you're the rescuer, you're not really going to fix anything. There's a whole dynamic going on behind the scenes. But the recommendation, especially for all of us, as real estate agents, we often will jump in to be the rescuer to our client who's acting like a victim. Instead of being a rescuer, be a coach. That's the difference. We're not going to solve the problem. I don't have answers in my bag of tricks. What I can do is ask the right questions. What I can do is be a consultant to help you self-realize what you need We need to understand their goals and their emotions. And instead of rescuing or trying to rescue people, don't even give in to the idea that they're victims. There's just things happening.
And be mindful of what it looks like when you hear victims speak so that you can be that source of accountability for another, right? So to me, there are 5 things, both that an accountability-based individual that are so obvious and a victim-based thinking does, that are obvious and easy to detect. From a victim mindset, number 1 is they don't acknowledge reality and they don't seek reality. So 1 is they don't seek it. 2 is they fight it. 3 is they blame others. 4th is it leads to personal excuses. And the fifth is they wait and hope for things to change. Hope's not a bad thing, by the way. It's just not an effective strategy, right? I mean, having hope is a big thing. An accountability-based person is someone who seeks reality, right? Talk about Christopher Reeves a moment ago. They acknowledge reality. They own it. They look for and find solutions to the problem, and then they get after it. The hard part about all of this is that progress is so slow. What makes change hard is like I can eat a salad today, but I'm not going to lose 5 pounds. I can go to the gym and work out for 2 hours, but I'm not going to be noticeably stronger to anybody. I can say I want to be wealthy 5 years from now, but wealth won't show up in my bank account a month or even a year from now. And this is what makes change so hard. When we acknowledge the things we have to do to change, it's that progress is so slow. And so this is where having that partner is so important. Having that coach is so important. But I just wanted to go over, I'm going to stop before I go down a rabbit hole. I just wanted to acknowledge that those are the characteristics of what a victim looks like, what an accountability mindset looks like, and then acknowledging the fact that when you make the decision to change anything in your life, you have to be in, and we all know, I think, understand that progress is slow. And having someone around you to help you is really important, or to give you that guidance and feedback and encouragement. I've known people who've gone through Alcoholics Anonymous. Thankfully don't have that affliction. But I can't imagine how hard it is to go to your first meeting where they say, we don't want you to drink ever again. Ever again. Ever again. So what do? They say, okay, but so we're going to start today. So they know that that's like a nearly impossible ask. But we're going to ask you today not to have a drink, just for today. And then they have people encouraging them each step of the way. The fact is, and I'll just shut up for a second, is the market's going to be what the market's going to be. The market shifts and it becomes harder next month, next week, next year. It's going to be what it's going to be. Every market bears opportunity. And your mindset is really important. Are you going to be a victim and say, gosh, I was just getting ready to do blank and now this happens? Or, man, I may have to shift gears here or shift directions because I know there's an opportunity in a market that can have these challenges, interest rate changes, maybe inventory being even more scarce. What are my options? Who's done this? Who's lived before me that can give me their clues?
And there are always options.
Yes.
Your description reminded me of something I read once. These former SEALs, Navy SEALs, had written a business book, Business Success. I can't remember the name of it. Some of you have probably read it. And they said that one of the most important pieces of the training, and this is the opposite of a victim mindset, is whatever's going on, you stop, assess, make a decision, go. 3 steps. The best assessment you can in the circumstance, make a decision how you're going to act, and then act. There's no thinking. There's no, I think of when you brought that AA thing, I have always thought of this as a 3-day life. Today's real. I'm in today. I'm in this moment. That exists. My memories of yesterday are already pretty hazy. Our brain is twisting them and fitting them into things that we think or don't think, and it almost bears little reality even one day later. And tomorrow certainly doesn't exist yet, although I'm close enough that some of the things I do impact it. Beyond that, there is no other time. So we're always only living in a 3-day window at best. I can do anything for 3 days. Yeah. That's how we look at it. Habit changes. Look, I got to start door knocking now, right? The business has changed and I don't like door knocking, but I need to door knock. If that was your decision, it's not, man, for the next 2 years now, I'm going to be doing this door knocking. It's today I'm going to door knock. And most likely I will tomorrow. I really don't even exist beyond that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But make a decision. What are you going to do in this ever-changing business?
Yeah. Well, that's why, again, success is slow. It's a commitment. It's an attitude. And just know that. I think of the time when I was new and I took that program Sweat Hogs that you've heard me talk about in the past, and I saw everybody around me succeeding but me, so I figured I got to do something. There was no one really there to guide me. I was on my own, I felt, except I met this one person who said, take this program. But where I'm going with that is that everyone around me seemed to be succeeding but me. And that's hard, when you see a $30 million producer strut in the office and back in the day, they would walk up to the whiteboard and put all their sales for the day or for the week, however they did it. But, and you haven't had one, and you think, man, is this really going to happen? And then to suffer the ignorance of others where you're working really hard and then, success starts to come for you and everyone starts questioning whether or not you're being fed leads, or how could you go from having nothing to all of a sudden you've got 2 new listings. And then you watch the agents in the office questioning them, talking about you behind their back, going, oh, Chuck must be helping him out. When you just spent 6 months getting sand kicked in your face by the for sale by owners and the expireds, and you're going through a process of learning, right, of what does work, what doesn't work. And then ultimately you find it's all that 6 months of going in the gym and strength conditioning and weightlifting. Now you figure some things out and you start to have your own success, and you'll have to suffer, the ignorance of others, but you just keep moving on because that's your mindset. It's like, I'm going to show up for me, not for other people.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to do the next. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was going to say success is even hard. So sometimes it's hard when you become successful, because you have everyone trying to tear you down. There's another way of learning and a mindset that you have to endure that. So
it's always going to be difficult if you're that concerned with what other people think.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, that's the start of it, right? Yeah. I care a lot what I think. I care what my wife thinks. Extended family, but it dissipates very quickly after that.
What matters most.
I have to live with myself, right? I have to look in the mirror every morning. Yeah. Nobody else has to look in that mirror.
Right. All of this is to say, we're talking about this, Sean, and we're not talking about scripts and dialogues, and some might be wondering, where is this going? I think before you can show, I truly, if I believe anything, I believe if you're not right the way you think about things, you can go through the best training programs in real estate, the best that real estate has to offer. And unless you can, be right between the ears, you're going to miss your opportunity. You're not prepared for the struggle, because every class you go to is taught to you in a way that is about the perfect outcome, but life isn't perfect. And so if you can condition yourself to deal with these challenges and have the proper mindset and not beat yourself up, don't be the victim, but be the person who's looking for solutions. I mean, to me, that's what I'm trying to, that's the lesson I'm trying to get out today.
Well, in the action step, the takeaway of this, in my mind, it goes back to something we said last week. As a matter of fact, Arnold Schwarzenegger said it once, and I really enjoy his take. He said he enjoyed setting a goal. I'm going to be Mr. Universe. I'm going to be in the movies, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. He'd set the goal. Then he would set up all the steps, all the action steps. And once he'd done that, he forgot about the goal. He says, my true pleasure was from executing on those action steps. It's back to that effort over outcome. If you're looking to be stronger, or to lose weight, or to do $30 million, or to stop drinking, or whatever that outcome is, if that's your focus, you're generally going to be unhappy. Even if you're doing the right things, it could take a long time to get there. But if you focus on the pleasure of each day, accomplishing a task that takes you one step closer, 1 degree change, you'll be amazed what happens in your life. And you'll be happy most of the time.
I agree with all of that. And the thing here, the first place to start is, what do you want? And when you know what you want, surround yourself with people. There's that 3-foot rule that I learned. I love it. When you make the decision to go down your path, don't let people get within 3 feet of you unless they're there to support you in that endeavor. I mean, don't let them get within 3 feet of you unless they're there to support you, because one of the challenges for me was to free myself of the good opinion of other people, and because when you do anything where you're trying to succeed, there will be people that try to tear you down, to say that, and they don't mean to, by the way. This is the thing. They don't show up like with horns on and pitchforks like they're trying to punch a hole in your dream. They show up by saying things, well, that doesn't work. I know people that have tried that before. That won't work, and so you believe this stuff, or you start to second guess yourself. But my coach says, or my mentor says, yeah, but you don't know what he's talking. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Okay.
It's the opposite, right? That if they showed up with horns, you'd know it.
Well,
the people who damage us show up with love.
Right.
They believe they're loving you as they tell you things that aren't helpful to you.
Know what you want. Know what you want. And build a plan for that. Yeah.
By the way, Randall Parks put a link in here that I haven't clicked on, but he said Blue Ocean Concept. And we were talking about that SEAL thing I read. It's the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. A big part of what we do. Wherever you are, make a decision and then go.
Right.
The what do you want part, it strikes me, maybe because I'm already thinking about it. I know next week we kind of talked about a topic, and my Wednesday workshops are going to be about this topic of being able to convey your value. And to be able to convey your value in this market, it's going to be very important, but it starts with knowing who you are, what you want out of it. I can't convey value that isn't intrinsically who I am or doesn't take me closer to my goal. It will never come out authentically. You really do have to sit and think about what is important to me. What do I want my life to look like in 2 years, 4 years?
Well, the great news, Sean, is that in the midst of these kind of changes, when you know what you want and what your value, if you're worried about what your value proposition is for this business, you're about to become a whole lot more valuable. Because I'm telling you that this, like everything, has a silver lining. When there are shifts like this, when we're just humming along and things are status quo like they've been for 2 years, there's not a lot of disruption. Rates are super low. Not a lot of houses. We all know the damn. There's just been one script for this play. Show up, make the best offer you can, and be prepared to make multiple. If you got a listing, be prepared to take in multiple offers. That's been the dance for 2 years, maybe 2.5. And now there's going to be some disruption. And the person who can be seen in their market with their database, with their sphere of influence, as a thinking professional who's starting to educate people starting today on what all this stuff means, what the Fed means, what bonds mean, what the yield means. And you start talking about it in a way, it's not to where you become professorial about, oh my God, that's too much. But in real estate, this is what a rate cut means. And this is how fast it will impact you or how slow it will impact you. And then be seen talking about it in a way that is so that you have this source, you're a source of knowledge and information to people in this business. That's giving them confidence to move forward, not be afraid to go back in and go to a cave and wait for the storm to pass. The market will always be this isn't the first and it won't be the last disruption in the market with interest rates or inventory or rate agents cutting commissions. These things have been around forever. They're always going to be around forever. You just have to step up and be seen as that person who has the football, as I use that term, has the football and is a source of great information. That when you have great information, you build confidence with other people. You help.
I would say not only that knowledge that you're talking about and confidence, but you can help them with perspective.
Yes.
Which again starts with us. Rates went up. Okay. That's not the only thing that happened. We start to see a slowdown in demand. Maybe the home isn't jumping $50,000 like it was 2 weeks ago. Every bidder was $50,000 above the next one. Well, what is a half-point increase in rate versus a $50,000 lack in price? Does the buyer come out ahead, even, behind? Have we done the math? Can we share that with our buyers? There's always ways to look at this and always perspective that they need us to bring.
Just last week, the state of California, say what you want about the governments. I mean, I know this state God, I don't know what, sometimes I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish here. But they did something really good for our business last week, didn't they? How many of you heard that the state is willing to loan first-time home buyers zero interest, zero fees, zero anything to help them make that first down payment so they can get it, so they can start to be more competitive and get into the housing market? How many of you know about that? If you don't, just Google it after this meeting and start talking about that. Start pitching that. I mean, I know some of us aren't in first-time home buyer markets. I don't care. If you're talking about something that has a positive impact on our business, that is a good thing happening for real estate, I don't care if you're selling in Rancho Santa Fe or if you're selling in Chula Vista. You all should be talking about something that is actually positive for the industry that can help anyone, because you'll get a referral from it. Your client, your database, your demographic may be, the 1.8s and Encinitas, but that person may have a daughter or a son that they're trying to help get into a home, and that's really big news. So you just don't know who you're going to be benefiting, but talk about positive things. Always.